This is Talk the Devils, the athletics show dedicated to Manchester United. Coming up today, we react to Liverpool 1, Manchester United 2. Finally, back-to-back Premier League wins for the first time under Ruben Amorim. A first win at Anfield in 9 years as well. A first away win since March, whichever way you look at it. A landmark day for Manchester United, and we're going to get into all the details of that and ask the question about what it can do for the club's season as well. As you'd expect, everyone, no matter where they are, and we're in 3 different countries, desperate to be on this show to talk about the glory of that result. I mean, Andy, it wasn't perfect, was it? But United got a win.
No, it was perfect, mate.
That was pre-rehearsed, wasn't it? Who cares? How good does that feel, Carl?
Oh, so good. Look, a win at a time when Manchester United desperately needed wins, back-to-back results for the first time in Amorim's tenure.
That's the place to do it.
Exactly. Correct place to do it. And also there's loads of bits to that performance that you're going, that can be carried forward against Brighton, against Forest. And hopefully this is a win that can be built on and United have properly turned a corner.
Let's hope so, because we've said that sentence a few times before. I mean, Laurie, you were there like me. Wow. I'd forgotten what it felt like to witness that sort of result away at Anfield. It had been such a long time.
Yes, a long time. I've never seen United win at Anfield in person. I've been there as a fan and obviously as a journalist, yeah. So this was the first time. I've been there for the 7-0, obviously. Let's not forget that, getting locked in afterwards.
Don't need to bring that up.
Whoa.
Barely
2 minutes in, Laurie. You can't be bringing up stuff like that.
Okay, I'm just sort of reminding people of the context of why then this game was
They'll know
all the more
context. It's
enjoyable.
inside them already,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, could you resist that fan within whilst you're trying to be professional on the dugout? Because I had like kind of muscle memory when Mbeumo scored and just like did a little fist pump, and I suddenly realised where I was and kind of how I'm supposed to be, very neutral, at least in the press box. But were you able to actually restrain yourself, Ian, when Harry Maguire put his forehead on that ball?
Yeah, I couldn't see. There was about 4 coaching staff and a substitute waiting to come on, so I didn't even see the ball at the back of the net, to be fair.
Well, it was a beautiful moment, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic header, yeah. And I mean, for it to be him, Laurie, as well. You spoke to him afterwards. We'll hear from him in a moment. After the disappointment he's had in a Manchester United shirt against Liverpool, after the miss at the end last year, even though it was probably offside, for it to be him to get the goal was fantastic.
Well, he said that to us actually when we brought that up last season. He said, well, I think it was offside, and that would have been a worse feeling if I'd gone off celebrating and then it'd been flagged. So that's what I'm telling myself. I tell everybody it was offside. This one definitely wasn't offside. I knew it wasn't offside. I did ask him about his celebration, which we'll get onto, which is kind of 2 parts, wasn't it? But his redemption arc, has been well established now, and it was just a really pleasing thing to see him really savour that moment in front of the away section. And what does this do now for Ruben Amorim's sort of arc? We've obviously discussed the serious scrutiny that's been on him. A result like this at Anfield in that kind of way where, there was obviously bits where United didn't protect the ball totally, and he touched on that. But in terms of the spirit and the detail of the game, the kind of togetherness that they showed, that really does feel like a platform that they can build on. Again, it's 2 wins in a row now, but it's such a huge thing to go and win at Anfield. It was a great moment, and I enjoyed taking a little selfie outside Anfield as the darkness fell and as I was leaving the stadium, for sure.
Just to take in that moment a little bit more. Right, we've teased it. We may as well hear from him. Here's the match winner, Harry Maguire.
Far too many times where they're celebrating and you're having to walk off the pitch and you're walking over to that away end and clapping the fans because they've been amazing with us time and time again. So no, it has been a tough for me 7 years coming here. I mean, we've had a couple of draws in there and a couple of good performances in there, but far too many negative ones, and to get that win today is so special for the fans. Obviously I missed that chance, and it would have been even harder if I put it in the back of the net last year and went and wheeled away and celebrated.
Can you imagine that?
You took us through that celebration this time, Harry? Off to the Liverpool fans, then the United fans.
To be honest, I didn't know where I was in the stadium when I put it in. I knew I was onside, so I just fancied doing the trademark knee slide. I should have probably gone to Bruno after the amazing assist that he gave me. When you're in that moment, you don't realise. But obviously after I wheeled away to the other end, I felt like I needed to go and celebrate in front of the United fans. Been amazing with me throughout my time here. So really special moment for me to give it back to them.
Nice to hear him so happy, Andy. He's had to do so many miserable interviews down the years especially against Liverpool. But to hear the joy in his voice and laughing and joking with Laurie and the other journalists is great.
He totally deserves it. He's had some very rough moments, which we won't talk about because we've done that too much, but never gave up. And his family never gave up. They watched him home and away. You got European away games in Istanbul, and the only players' families were there were the Maguires. And it's great to see. He's an honest footballer, an honest lad, and to score in front of the away end in the dying minutes of a game against Liverpool is just a career highlight. I think he talks really sensibly about the need to carry on. I know we're all a little bit giddy today, but that is the most important thing. Look at you smiling, trying to put me off because we're all a bit giddy.
Let the giddiness go now, Andy. I know I brought the mood down to begin with, but go on.
I'm happy to feel giddy because it is a really good result. It's probably maybe even the most important for Ruben Amorim. I think Lyon at home and Manchester City away last year, but United didn't really build on City away last year.
Yeah, but United led in this game for 80-odd minutes, I think, as well. It's not like what felt like a real smash and grab at the Etihad. It's a completely different performance and display. I'm not getting carried away either, so we're not going to let the gidiometer go through the roof.
You said title charge incoming before we came on this podcast.
We're allowed to enjoy it, aren't we? There has been so many down days across the last 12 months and beyond that, even the players, I think they're allowed to enjoy this, and it's a long time until Brighton. That's the other thing, isn't it? It's a long week, so at least have a day up before we start refocusing.
Absolutely. I also think what also feels a bit different about this result is they didn't crumble after the equaliser.
Yeah.
So
that's huge.
Yeah, right? In that we have seen far too many times when Manchester United have had a good performance and then the equaliser has come and then it's the sucker punch and you're going, oh no, here we go. And I was very right in my concluding paragraph to my match piece going, it's happened again. But the fact they rallied, the fact they found a positive reaction and they actually got that winner as well. And I don't think anyone watching, United fan, Liverpool fan, or the neutral will go, United were good value for that victory on Sunday. That's
Carl,
good.
you were watching it with the in-laws in the Netherlands, weren't you? I mean, can you paint the scene as Harry's glorious head met that ball and stuck it in the back of the net?
I think I leapt out of my seat and then I watched the remainder of stoppage time, sort of stood up, prowling from behind the sofa.
Yeah, as the in-laws sort of like, I don't quite understand what's going on here.
Your dad gave me some very good advice when we were on tour about when I told him I was going to watch this with the in-laws, and your dad went, no matter what happens at the full-time result, you have to pay attention to questions they're asked of you afterwards. He goes, your head goes after a big result, but you have to be focused when you're watching football with the in-laws. So thanks to your dad.
Point. Yeah, well done. I mean, Harry coming up clutch, Laurie, is just a theme now, basically. It's not the first time that he's been able to do this. And I saw a tweet go out, I think it was from TNT Sports, that listed his last 6 goals for United. Obviously, yesterday's 84th minute winner at Anfield, an 89th minute equaliser at Grimsby. We won't talk about what happened after that. A 121st minute winner against Lyon, a 47th minute winner against Ipswich. Not maybe quite as dramatic, but still a winner. Then the 93rd minute winner against Leicester and a 91st minute equaliser against Porto. What a run.
Incredible. And I think it just shows the resilience and character that he's got. Obviously, the aerial ability that he's got, that sense for peeling towards the back post. A lot of these goals have been that way. And in fact, you had sort of De Ligt and Dorgu queuing up. And De Ligt probably would have done a decent job. Not sure about Dorgu, but Maguire was like, nah, this is mine. So Liverpool had obviously started to think about the counter-attack. Bruno had other ideas, just getting it back in. I mean, what an assist that was, by the way, to kind of volley it into that
first time as well
of the ball. Yeah, I mean, so to kind of just put it on his head, really. I mean, Maguire obviously had to pull back a bit and nod it down. His place in the starting lineup was debated, wasn't it, before the match begun? Because Lenny Yoro had to make way for him, and Ruben Amorim had these ideas of having Maguire as the central defender in that back three and pushing De Ligt out to the right, and maybe that resilience, maybe that set piece ability, with the long throws of Dalot as well, particularly was a feature of his thinking, because you look at Liverpool's team and think maybe that is an area where they are lacking, and even I know you would obviously by pitch side in, so you kind of had a much better appreciation of this, but it looked to me like well, certainly Heaven and Yoro were warming up from like 60th minute, something like that. They had the yellow bibs on. And so I presumed that they were going to come on for Maguire and Luke Shaw. Then Amorim changed his mind after Gakpo equalised, I think, and then it was going to be Mainu and Yoro. So that kind of moment, and then in the end it was that after Maguire had scored and Bruno comes off for Mainu. So again, sort of serendipitous moment really, where Fernandes stays on the pitch, Maguire stays on the pitch to have this moment of, you know, real joy. And to Carl's point, having United lost the lead as well, I think that's a huge factor that Amorim mentioned, that kind of character to not crumble in that atmosphere, because it was a ferocious atmosphere in that moment. It was, you know, Anfield had been quiet, to be honest, but it kind of electrified at that point, and you had all the forwards on the pitch swarming towards United. So for them to actually respond is probably better than having them just win the game 1-0 ultimately.
Yeah, I spoke to Bruno Fernandes about the assist after the game. He wasn't aiming for Maguire. He admitted he was aiming for the area. But when you say there's a collection of players there, that's exactly why he was looking to stick it in that particular spot. He had nothing left, Bruno. He could barely run. The ball was coming to him and his legs weren't quite working as they should, but he still summoned the energy to be able to just volley that ball back into the box. And
is that why he hit it first time, maybe, just because that's all he had left?
He had nothing else left, yeah, maybe.
I'm not controlling this.
Went straight off afterwards.
Yeah.
It's quite a way to exit the game, isn't it, after setting up the winner? But he gave everything again yesterday, and he was the master of sort of winding people up, getting involved in things. Sometimes you feel like maybe he's a bit too distracted with it, but it seemed to work perfectly yesterday. And United's sort of gamesmanship, do we call it? I don't know what the right word to describe it, but just slowing things down, winning fouls, arguing with officials. Even the benches were arguing at different points as well. It had a bit of needle to it, and the home crowd not happy. Liverpool obviously now lost 4 games in a row. It's the worst run of form that many of these players have ever had in their careers. I spoke to Cody Gakpo after the game. Never ever lost 4 matches in a row before. It was already the worst run of Arne Slot's career as well as a manager, and obviously the champions. So to watch their team suffer that against Manchester United, there was a few unhappy people around, no question. Harry spoke, Andy, about the spirit and resilience of this Manchester United side, and actually yesterday, you know, the approach worked clearly. There were tactical details they'd worked on that worked as well, clearly. But I think overall the spirit and togetherness of the side is the biggest plus point that's come out of that 90 minutes, isn't it?
I think we started seeing it pre-season where the mood was genuinely good. And then to start the season and it be quite a bumpy start, you start questioning, and obviously the mood is affected by results. But had United beaten Arsenal the opening day of the season, having played well, United would be joint top of the table right now. So it's still very early on, but we've talked on this pod about the wild swings not helping anybody. Maybe fans can learn from this as well. You know, it's only 2 or 3 weeks that most Man United fans didn't think Ruben Amorim was the right person. And that's fine. It's totally fine to have varied opinions. But this is a process which is going to take time. And if it's going to come off, and when you have results like Liverpool or last one against Sunderland, you have more faith in this coming together. But it's still going to take time. There will be more defeats. Hopefully there'll be a lot more wins. And Maguire talking about the spirit, I think he's genuine when he means that. The dressing room is in quite a good place. Sir Alex Ferguson often said, judge a player by how they perform at Anfield. If you look at the new players, I mean, the best 3 players for me yesterday were the goalkeeper. Lammens was fantastic. Matheus Cunha, Bryan Mbeumo. Obviously Maguire gets the headlines, and he had a very good game, and lots of other players did. But if you can do it at Anfield, Liverpool are the league champions. It can be intimidating, no matter how loud the away fans are. United started well. It wasn't like the 0-0 when it was just backs to the wall all the time. And I know there's a lot of room for improvement, but it's still a win at Anfield. It's a huge, huge result. And it's the type which will give the players a lot more confidence. Because if you can beat Liverpool away, you can actually beat anybody in the world away.
Yeah, it's a good point. And you could see the confidence in the players after the game as well. And you just hope that they build on that. We'll talk about what happens next a little bit later. Let's get into some of the detail then of the game. In fact, we've come this far, Carl, without mentioning, in writing on The Athletic, you predicted a 2-1 Manchester United away win. Jack, on email, got in touch with us before the game. Prediction for today, 2-1 United. He even said that Bryan Mbeumo was going to score, so it's good going. Andy got it right, sort of, as well. But
we had so many people message us saying, you need to give Andy his praise. He called it spot on. And I was thinking, didn't he say 1-0 Sesko?
I thought he said 4-0, didn't he? I mean, he made that many predictions, I couldn't keep up.
Either way, he was positive.
I got United winning at Anfield, which was not expected at all. I got the 80-odd minute winner, and I said it was going to be a header as well. I do apologise, Benjamin Sesko fans, for saying it was him and he didn't score, but we'll let him off. What a moment for Harry Maguire. What a win. And if anyone needs highly accurate predictions for future games...
Go to Carl Anker,
yeah. Go to Carl.
Well done, mate. Right, let's get into some of the detail of it if we can. The flying start was definitely a feature of it. It's the fastest goal that Manchester United have scored ever at Anfield. It's the fastest goal that's been scored in the fixture, I think. Nicky Butt scored after 2 minutes.
Saw that one.
In 95 as well. But
Cantona's comeback.
Didn't have my stopwatch out to decide whether it was earlier than 65 seconds. I doubt it. Remarkable. Quickest goal this season. And it was just a bit of a shock, Laurie, wasn't it, when it went in? It was an unbelievable angle. It was a great move. There was a little bit of argument about the head injury, but it's just a fantastic way to start. And this has become a feature of United's game now. The last 3 victories, early goals have set them on the way.
Yeah. Fast start, as Carl predicted as well in his 2-1 assessment. I mean, he wasn't on the podcast, was he, Carl, for the pre-match? So, I mean, in writing, is that easier to predict a victory in the heat of the game? Listen, I'll let him fully give his answer on that because he didn't actually sort of give a response to
I didn't know the wider context. So was this not pre-match?
No, it was pre-match. Yeah, it's pre-match.
Yeah,
don't worry. Yeah, still counts. I'm just being churlish. The fast start. I mean, I thought Mbeumo had kind of dinked it over Mamardashvili, but yeah, in the end, it was a sort of, he'd just got his knee to, hadn't he? But the tone was set really. I mean, we'll probably talk a little bit more about Lammens particularly, but it was those direct kicks again. You know, as we saw against Sunderland, I thought, with Sesko not starting, I thought that would actually not be as much of a feature of United's game because you didn't have that, target man. But actually, what Amorim explained afterwards was that, he wanted Cunha to sort of drop deeper and give Liverpool centre-back something different to contend with, more unusual for them. And really, they kind of left Liverpool to it to head the ball back into midfield and then United would work from there. Ball. So they didn't really need the flick-ons. And I mean, it literally, from kick-off and Mbeumo back to Lammens, goes long to Dalot, who challenges for the ball, goes out for a Liverpool throw, but Bradley gives it to McAllister, who gives the ball away, and United are actually there playing in the final third straight away. Goes all the way back to Lammens. His second kick is the one where it's a bit of a volley between Van Dijk and Maguire headed, and obviously it's like a fourth ball really, isn't it? Van Dijk decides to elbow his own man. He's on the floor.
Balls,
It was a great pass by Bruno, again, that one, because you've got McAllister and Mbeumo on the floor, and Van Dijk's approaching him. It's a left foot quick pass out to Ahmad, and then Mbeumo's just on his bike, and Van Dijk, I don't know what he was doing, kind of thinks that Konate is going to cover him, doesn't track him properly, but you need that intensity and that purpose in your play that Mbeumo's got, and then the finish. To get the goal so early on, it just gave United such belief, didn't it, for the rest of the game, and then you could see that right-hand channel was where they were getting most joy from Liverpool. Kirkes was befuddled by Ahmad, I think, quite frequently.
Another aspect, Carl, that you predicted, that the full-backs and the spacing behind them was going to be an opportunity for United.
Absolutely. Liverpool are having some full-back issues. I think whatever formulation that was working really, really well for them last season just isn't been replicable this time around. And that early goal was really, really important. It rattled them. It really, really rattled them. That's the poorest performance I've seen from Virgil van Dijk in a little bit. There was also a moment towards the end of the game where there's a sort of shanked clearance. Virgil hits the ball and it ends up hitting Kirkes on the head. And then Virgil turns around to Kirkes and then does like a mouthing gesture, telling Kirkes, you have to talk to him. Talk to me. Or I'm like, and you're having that moment going, these lot aren't enjoying this. Yeah. And it's been so long since I've watched Manchester United play at Anfield, and it's the Liverpool players that are flustered. It's the Liverpool players that are rattled. It's the Liverpool players that are bickering with each other, and it's the Liverpool players that aren't playing to the whistle. So that was good. I freely admit, I texted before when the starting lineup was announced. I think I texted everyone going, I don't like that lineup, but I'm hoping Ruben has something for me, and he did.
You weren't alone, Carl. There was a lot of reaction from United fans online at the game where I was unsure about a few aspects of it. Lenny Yoro being named on the bench, Harry Maguire starting. Look how that worked out. Casemiro starting in midfield was a shock after everything we talked about. There's a little bit more detail on him, which I'll mention in a moment. But Benjamin Sesko not playing when Arne Slot sat in his press conference on Friday and more or less detailed exactly how much Liverpool have struggled with the direct approach of teams so far this season. And then you see the team sheet and you're like, why on earth is Benjamin Sesko not playing when...
He seemed annoyed that United changed their lineup though, Slot. It was like...
That was odd, yeah. He has said a few times about teams changing this season when they face Liverpool. But, I mean... You've got a target on your back when you've won the league last season. Exactly. And especially when teams see that it works too. So to not have the target man in the team was interesting. But then watching Van Dijk winning the headers and the way that Mbeumo he was just earning stuff off him almost. He was just there. He wasn't even necessarily challenging. He was just making sure that Van Dijk was under pressure to not be able to just head it to a Liverpool player. And then this swarm of Cunha, of Mount, of Bruno Fernandes, of Bryan Mbeumo, whoever it was trying to get that second ball, it just really worked. It was a very smart feature and an unexpected feature of naming that starting lineup. Just on Casemiro and Cunha as well, pair of them had travelled, I think, something like 11,000 miles during the international break. They'd got back the latest of all the Manchester United players from international duty. They were given Thursday off. They didn't need to report until Friday, but both of them came in on the Thursday. They didn't train fully with the team, but they began their preparations for Anfield. And I wonder how much of a factor it was them doing that Ruben Amorim then ended up naming them in the starting lineup, because again, Andy, Casemiro gave it his all, didn't he? He was absolutely shattered. He only managed an hour, but it was a good hour.
I'm stunned, actually, but maybe the coach knows far more than people like me, because he's seen these players every day. Casemiro was wearing gloves, but he could have worn a motorcycle helmet, to be honest, if he's playing his part for a United team who were winning at Anfield. I thought he played well. He was a little bit exposed at times, which didn't make him look great defensively, but it wasn't his fault. He got his yellow, which he gets most matches, and was hooked soon after. So I thought he did.
Important challenge that though.
Yeah, very
one of those good bookings.
Literally, he's still sat on the floor after the booking, and he just sort of gestures to the bench, it's time for me to come off. It's not often you see players cramping up after sort of 58, 59 minutes, but
he did well. He did well.
Yeah.
I thought Cunha was world class at times. Honestly, that good. I thought he's confident. He's brave.
Why
he
so
holds
good,
the
Andy?
ball up.
Because that's high praise. What was it about him specifically that impressed you that much?
The way that he holds the ball up. I think he's brave. He's an outlet for the other players. I just thought he was become a really important player.
The last 20 minutes
for
in particular.
Manchester United. Well, towards the end, he even went down with cramp, didn't he? Right towards the end.
What really impressed me was the last 20 minutes. If United were under pressure, they gave it to Cunha, and Cunha just got you an extra 5-10 yards. Just got the ball, just kept dragging the ball further into Liverpool territory, riding a challenge or two and going, no, we're not. If you're going to get a free kick or you're going to win the ball off me, you're going to have to earn it for an extra 5-10 yards. And that's so important when it's just a one goal lead like that. So that was really, really good. I also think it was a little bit different compared to how they defended against Sunderland. So again, both of the 10s were, because you didn't really have a central striker, both the 10s were a little bit more inside. So it was sort of a 5-3-2, and then Mount would drop, and it was Cunha and Mbeumo for the first line of pressure. And then as they got closer towards their own box, you could see it became a 5-4-1, and it'd be Cunha as your lone person. And it was really, really just clog up the middle. Liverpool wanted to play direct, but okay, fine. You've got Maguire, you've got the liquid, the headed balls there as well. And then when the ball was won, it was really, really quick, and Cunha was going to get you that 5-10 yards. And his first touch isn't always the cleanest, but he's always the quickest to react to what his second touch needs as well. So really, especially the final 20 minutes from Cunha, that was the one that helped you win that game.
We talk about individuals. I think collectively, the attackers are working really well. I think it's vindicating the summer signings. You talk about Cunha's first touch. Mbeumo was possibly even better than Cunha. I like the way he combined with Ahmad. I think Mbeumo makes really well-timed runs, takes up positions to the point that He's a brilliant decision maker. His teammates know what he's going to do, and then he does it. He's totally consistent. He's not selfish. He's humble. He's calm. He's technically excellent. He's powerful. He's quick. And just stop me now before I run up the rest of this podcast.
Stop getting giddy, Andy.
Talking about, I thought he was brilliant. I really did. And obviously he scored, bang, no messing about. Get in there, right in front of the cop.
Celebration was good, wasn't it? Arms out. What do you expect?
It was cool as F. You say, yeah, you won something last year, did you? Well, stick that down your scouse necks. And it was just wonderful. Top performance. And, you know, there were other players who didn't catch the eye as much. Mason Mount.
Whoa. I'm not having any Mason Mount slander.
In my opinion, I thought he was worth his start. United were excellent offensively in the first half, but he was effective. But he wasn't to the same level as Bryan Mbeumo or Matheus Cunha. But then it didn't need to be. It was a really good team performance, and it's all about team, collective. That's what's going to win your matches rather than individuals.
Yeah, you're not alone in noticing the way that Cunha saw out that game. Jake on email, so many great performances, but in the last 15 minutes, Cunha absolutely dragged us over that finish line. He refused to let them have the ball, did all the S-housery that you need to win at Anfield as well. That was a feature of the game quite a few times. I saw the Liverpool bench getting very wound up about a few different details of Manchester United's game. And you need to do that. You need to play to every advantage you can possibly take. Cunha's now 008, so 8 games, no goals, no assists. That's my attempt to be down with the kids. But it doesn't really matter in a way, Laurie, does it, when he's putting performances in like that and others are contributing? I'm sure he would like to get off the mark. I think he's spoken about it, actually, about how he feels the need that he needs to show that he's a United player and to score games and win matches for them. But playing like that, I don't think anyone would complain.
No, for sure. I mean, the fact that he actually played a full 90 after all that travel that you've detailed there is remarkable, really. There was probably a couple of moments towards the end of the game where he actually tried inventive passes, a couple to Sesko, or certainly that one with the outside of his boot, and Sesko was offside, I think, and it was too far in front of him. And you're sort of thinking, actually, is he trying too much there? Could he keep doing the skills with, just by running with the ball? But actually, if that works, then you've got a good opportunity there to make it 3, and you're absolutely home and hose. So I don't mind that. I quite liked that he was trying in the right moment when it was safe to do so, those kind of line breaking passes. Yeah, we knew, didn't we, at Wolves that he wanted to be on the big stage, really. That was why there was some probably issues, in terms of, perhaps team companionship at times last season with Wolves. But this is the stage for him, and I think that's what makes the difference with United now, that if you've got these players with character that can do the business as well, that can walk the walk, it's huge. Yeah, I think it was a real big moment for him to come through, and it gives a sort of headache, really, for how do you fit all these players into the team. It's nice that he's got the options, right? But obviously only being in the Premier League for the foreseeable future does mean that these opportunities are limited. So I guess you can get away with rotating players when you're winning matches, and they feel like they're part of something building and they're getting positive moments themselves. It's just obviously a bit trickier if you're not getting those results, and you're kind of straining to pick the right selection. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I suppose you have to continue with that lineup, right, for Brighton. I don't know how you can change it, even though Sesko's off the back of 2 starts, 2 goals.
I think you just pick your weapons. I think it's fine if they, I don't know, produce a game plan to face Brighton that means a different 11 is needed. Mm-hmm. Like you say, they need to win, obviously, because then if you start meddling with a team that's done well at Anfield and then loses to Brighton, obviously, then there's question marks again. But it's a great position to be in, where you can rotate aside because you want to, not out of necessity. And if the injury situation continues to improve the way it has, I mean, it's great to see Mazraoui back part of the squad yesterday as well. So he'll come into contention for the Brighton game. So it's the best place to be. I mean, one position now, I think, which is not in direct question, is the goalkeeper. You spoke to him after the game, Laurie, Senne Lammens. So before I ask you about that, let's hear from him. Here's the Manchester United goalkeeper, Senne Lammens.
2 weeks ago, playing at home in front of the fans was a dream come true, with the clean sheet as well and the win. But today is a different kind of win, I think. In this atmosphere was like one of the biggest games I was looking forward to. Yeah, I'm so happy we could win today.
Was that the biggest game of your career so far?
Yeah, it has to be. Not even close, I think.
How did you feel coming into something like that? Second game for Manchester United?
I think you're just trying to be like yourself. Don't really overthink it. It's just a game, to be honest, at the end of the day. So, yeah, just do my preparation the same as usual and concentrate on the pitch, not really looking or hearing what's going on outside of the pitch. And I think, with this team today, how we fought, it feels so good that we got what we deserved, I think. So it's really good today. Yeah.
In terms of your instructions, so it felt like going more direct, not taking any risks really.
We know how they press. They're gonna go man v man. So I think being really realistic. Coming at Anfield, it's quite difficult to build up, I think. So from the beginning on, with the defenders, we make the decision that we should get more of a long ball and do it with the second ball, even though we didn't really have a target striker. You have to be realistic as well, especially in the beginning of the game. If it really works like this, then you should just stay with this tactic, and I think today it worked out, yeah.
Calm and composed, Laurie. It's almost the way that he played the game as well. I mean, for a 23-year-old, you should probably paint the scene of where that interview took place in the mix zone at Anfield, because I'm not sure United would often put players forward this early at this age to be able to deal with this sort of interview, and it's just fine, isn't he?
well, the truth is they didn't quite put him forward. I think they were perfectly happy that he spoke, but credit to Steve Railston, who you also heard on the audio, who writes for the Manchester Evening News. So at Anfield, the press conference room is right by the mix zone, so you can actually flip between the two, which is what I did ultimately. So I managed to speak to Ruben Amorim as well as Maguire and Lammens. But I'm sort of in the mix zone, and Lammens is walking through, and Steve just said, Senne, any chance for a few words? And he kind of checked with the security guy that he was with, and he was like, if you want him, and he's like, yeah, I'd like to. So I like that he kind of took the initiative in that moment. He didn't say anything, too much in celebration in terms of a victory lap, shall we say, but he kind of, I think, was a right moment for him to speak openly and calmly in a measured way.
Exactly, was like
that's what I mean.
In some ways.
Yeah.
It's his second United game, and he's just won at Anfield after keeping a clean sheet and winning his first, yeah.
And obviously to the point of the kind of strategy, he totally understood that, and the fact that he said it's realistic, that's the kind of mentality that I think was a really sharp moment to convey. I mean, he did 46 passes in the match, 45 of them were long passes. I think the one that was a supposed short pass was a kind of 24 5-yard bulleted pass to Dalot that actually ended up, United kind of worked it, Shaw wriggled out of the way of Salah, and it ended up being the one that Bruno Fernandes hit the post for. So, even that one, there's a couple of times he tried to roll it out, and then Cunha kind of got in his way to Ahmad, and then the Liverpool fans were appealing for something, and there was another moment where he rolled out, I think, and it ended up with Casemiro as like the number 6, and he kind of quickly hoiked it round the corner, and it didn't go to anyone. So I think the direct approach certainly was the one to go for, and for him to carry it out so astutely, because he can kick it off left or right. He's got this really nice trajectory. I mean, Peter Schmeichel was actually sat a couple of rows in front of me in the press box, and he looked pretty pleased with what he was witnessing. I know he's been compared to him already, which is obviously a bit tongue-in-cheek after the Sunderland game. I know it is, but I quite like that, just that I sense that same kind of, I don't know, just steeliness to him, which I think was really impressive. And yeah, I mean, he kind of, for United to be able to thrust him into the action in this game at 23, and for him to come out the way he did, is remarkable, really. That save from Isak was huge, and I don't know if you think about this with the Salah one. Did he kind of have a bit of aura to make Salah miss that chance? Am I getting carried away there?
Look, I felt safe. Okay,
the warm embrace.
That's what the internet verbiage now is just saying. I felt safe, and I think I really wanted Andre Onana to work out at Manchester United, but it definitely reached a point where it was hard to trust him, and it would have been unfair to ask Manchester United defenders to trust him. Whereas, yes, it's only 2 games in, but Lammens is doing the correct things in terms of making saves. He's also being really proactive with his movement to the point where sometimes he doesn't necessarily have to make a save because he's just closed down the angle to such a degree that the striker now has it very, very hard to get a shot on target. And that's great. But my favourite moment from Lammens yesterday wasn't actually a save. It was when United were goal up, Dorgu had just come on. Dorgu had made a tackle to give away a corner, and he sort of stood facing Lammens in that sort of half expecting a high five, half expecting some sort of well done. And Lammens just sort of gestures to him to turn around and get prepared for the corner. There you go. There's a goalkeeper. None of this high five, yeah. It's next job. And that's why United won on Sunday, because it was next job. They weren't getting rattled. They weren't playing the badge. They weren't playing the audience. They were just playing a team in front of them, and they understood that that team had weaknesses, and they exploited those weaknesses very, very well. So, Lammens, thank you for making me feel safe, and I hope it can continue for a very long time.
23 years old, he's so mature, isn't he? And why shouldn't he speak? You know, I like players who think for themselves and decide, yeah, I want to speak. I've seen far too many players either blank journalists or ask for permission. And if you can't speak having beaten Liverpool away, then when can you speak? But really, really good start for him. It's still very early. As I said a few weeks ago on this pod, he was brought in to be number one, with the idea that it might take some time. He trusted his woodwork as well, obviously, yesterday, because he just let them two slide because he knew that he was going to be protected. Now,
he did look like he actually left that first Gakpo one, to be fair. He pulled his hands away.
He did pull away, yeah.
Talking about Giddy, I just looked where the 2027 Champions League final is. It's at Madrid at Atletico.
Isn't
it's
it
good.
Nice though?
I watched the game in. It is nice. I watched the game in Oslo with the Oslo Reds. Manchester United have got huge support in Norway, and you're sort of built in bracing yourself for disappointment. And when that doesn't happen, and the relief of watching United win, it's just such a wonderful feeling. And it's been a long time since Manchester United have won an away game, and even longer since Manchester United have gone to a top team. So we need to enjoy these moments, but it's so much more than the 3 points. It's the lift it gives the fan base. It just calms all the toxicity around the club, all the talk about, you know, if United wouldn't have won that, my phone would have lit up with people asking me to speak in the media.
You heard from anyone this morning, Andy?
Not a single person. So that
I got
also,
one from someone in Belgium.
yeah, I mean, that also shows where Manchester United are as well, doesn't it? But the club has got a huge support. I bumped into Morten Gams Pedersen in Oslo, the Blackburn legend Manchester United fan, and he was going to watch the game with another Manchester United fan, the Olympic gold medal winner, the Norwegian hurdler. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name.
We all know who you mean, Andy, don't worry.
Torsten's not that hard, I don't think.
Right, go on then. Do it.
Well, I haven't got his surname in front of me. One sec.
Karsten Warholm.
Ah, there you go. So it was Karsten, not Torsten.
United fan. Reds are there. Liverpool are also massive in Norway, but I didn't see a single Scouser on the streets of Oslo in the couple of days that I've been here. Wonderful.
We had some brilliant emails as well coming in, as you'd expect after that result, and lots of DMs as well. So thank you to everyone who got in touch. Rick asked, can you please update the list in this squad who have won at Anfield? So, Rick, I'm more than happy to. So, Senne Lammens, Diogo Dalot, Ahmad, Matthias de Ligt, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Matheus Cunha, Mason Mount, Bryan Mbeumo, Lenny Yoro, Mamadou Ugarte, Benjamin Sesko, Kobbie Mainoo and Patrick Dorgu have all won at Anfield in a Manchester United shirt, to add to Luke Shaw, who I spoke to after the game, who'd actually forgotten that he'd ever won at Anfield before.
Wow.
It was in 2013, quite a long time ago, Luke, and it was for Southampton. But you've now done it for United. And in fact, Rick, I can go a little bit further. So United are now unbeaten at Anfield since 2023. And that means that the following players have never lost at Anfield for Manchester United: Senne Lammens, Ahmad, Matthias de Ligt, Matheus Cunha, Mason Mount, Bryan Mbeumo, Lenny Yoro, Mamadou Ugarte, Benjamin Sesko, Kobbie Mainoo and Patrick Dorgu. So yeah, I'm glad you emailed. Thank you. Well, I think we've just about recovered from Anfield, and we'd only just about recovered, really, from the live shows in Ireland. So a big thank you again to everyone who's come. My voice, I do not sound like Sean Dyche anymore, which is good. But yeah, everyone who
got a new job on him now, so or coming soon.
Well, exactly. I had to give my voice back to him so he can go and speak at his unveiling press conference soon. But yeah, we're live, Talk the Devils live, in Manchester and London still. That's in November. Manchester is sold out. London, there are still tickets available. Tuesday, the 11th of November. That's at Walthamstow at Soho Theatre. So we'd love to see you all there. Thank you to everyone who's bought tickets so far. And the countdown to that is on. Let's hope that United continue this form. And And that's the question, Laurie, in a way, isn't it? It's about what happens next for United. If only we had the confidence of some of the former players you met at Anfield who were believing even before the game.
Yeah, I mean, I should have perhaps shoehorned this in when Carl was collecting his flowers and Andy for their, pre-match positivity and correct predictions. But I actually saw Quinton Fortune in the Anfield press room before the game with Mark Sullivan, who hosts for MUTV, so he was working for MUTV, and he was absolutely buzzing. And then we kind of delved into it, and I realised why, because he's played at Anfield 4 times for United, lost the first one to be fair, but won the next 3. And I said to him, "Oh, okay, so that's a pretty good record at Anfield. Like, have you been here since?" He was like, "No, why would I?" So he's not been to Anfield in 20 years, turns back up as a pundit, and then United go and win again. And he was sat in front of me and he was taking pictures and videos and stuff. So it was really beautiful actually to see his enjoyment.
Try and ensure that Quinton Fortune is at every Manchester United game at Anfield from now on then, basically.
Get him in.
Fortune by name, fortune by nature.
Middle name good. Well, and also Jaap Stam was there. So he said hello to Quinton, and that was nice to see. And he said, "Oh, I quite fancy my chances myself today. I know if they need a centre back, I'm ready." So he was primed for it. And then I saw Jaap later in the toilets at Anfield, actually in the urinals. Freddie Ljungberg was on the left, he was on the right, and the only one available was the one in the middle, and they were having a conversation. I was like, I can't interrupt this, can I? I just had to wait there whilst they finished their conversation and what else they were doing. But anyway, I felt that set the tone for what United then went to do. And I was looking at the results actually, and obviously won four games. 3 of them have actually been against teams above United in the table. So in terms of being last season all about the relegated teams or whatever, then at least this one, particularly with Chelsea and Liverpool being 2 big wins there. Sunderland still above United after their victory at the weekend, so that's a funny one. But yeah, I kind of feel like you've got some more substance now this season than you kind of ever really had last season, when it felt so fragmented, particularly for the reasons we've outlined with the offensive players. So it was certainly encouraging.
Yeah, up to 9th, which is better than it sounds when you consider the 3 points off second place. Still a negative goal difference, Andy, unfortunately, -1, but there's time to work on that before the season's out. But it is about what happens next now, and you heard Harry Maguire talk about it after the game. You heard Ruben Amorim talk about it repeatedly after the game as well. And last season, actually, the draw at Anfield that Manchester United got, it was all like, right, it's what happens in the next match against Southampton. In the end, Ahmad pulled it out of the bag, but it was not a glorious performance. It wasn't the type of performance that underlined what they'd done at Anfield before. So heading to Saturday, Andy, against Brighton, you hope that the words that they gave yesterday are followed by a proper performance and another win. 3 in a row. Let's just dispel any of these statistics about back-to-back wins or whatever.
Yeah, you'd hope for it. By the way, Real Oviedo were disgraced to sack Quinton Fortune a couple of weeks ago. He led them to promotion last year. It's completely turned their season around with his main man as manager. Quinny's a top lad, and I hope he gets back into football again soon. And if he doesn't, just keep watching Manchester United games, because obviously you bring good luck. You're right, Ian. Brighton have been the team who've inflicted some of the worst defeats on Manchester United in recent years. They've had the wobbles their own. And what I don't want to happen is to have the confidence that we had going into the Brentford game and then wobble again. This United team could probably look at the Liverpool win as being a bonus. A draw would have been a bonus. It's the games against teams like Brighton at Old Trafford, where United have been much stronger, that United need to be taken care of first. And then you've got a game against Nottingham Forest. Bit worried that they've swapped the manager. I hope there's not a bounce back then. And then you got Tottenham away. Then you got Everton at home, Palace away, West Ham at home. So United could get a decent run together. They're not going to win all of those games. But if we're saying that success this season is to finish in the top 6, is to qualify for Europe again, then there's very, very winnable games there. But we want to see more consistency. United have won the last 3 at Old Trafford, but it doesn't feel like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
So, Brighton's a massive match, but I've always felt with these players, if they do click, then they're capable of I can't say going on some sort of run because I've got no evidence of that, but I always felt that they were
two wins
underwhelming.
at the moment is a run.
It is a run,
to
but
be honest.
Underwhelming considering how many talented players that there are. But I'm really pleased about the signings who've come in the summer. Those 4 signings, and I still think when Cunha starts scoring, and he will do, when Sesko starts scoring all the time, and he will do, then we're not winning the league this season, but you never know.
Do you know, I think you made an important point before, Andy, as well, about the spirit, because I remember, it's not that long ago, even though it feels like a lot's happened. I remember going in there at the start of the season, the week before the Arsenal game, and it felt so different around the place. And you spoke to the players and they sounded so different about what was going on. And Amorim was detailing about some of the changes that had been made over the summer. And I genuinely felt very positive about what I saw and felt. And it didn't feel like a construction. Maybe it was more delicate than I appreciated at the time, which is something I've talked about on the podcast before. But I wonder now if we are beginning to see what, the benefit of what all that was about. Obviously, they need to start winning games more consistently and producing performances week after week and not having this lurch from week to week. But even hearing that the players went back to Carrington after the game last night, so they're there at the training ground late in the ice baths, in the sauna, recovering properly, beginning to refocus on Brighton. It just cannot dissipate now. It just has to be built on. Otherwise, can you imagine the feeling if we're all brought back down to earth again? I mean, Brighton have won at Old Trafford in the last 3 seasons in the Premier League. So that's another record that needs to finish as well. And that's the only way, Laurie, that you can actually move this narrative on. In some ways, listening to everyone say, forget about this, it's now about Brighton yesterday was a bit sort of irritating, I suppose. But they're right. Like, it just has to continue. It cannot be a result that we look upon in a year's time and go, what happened to that?
Yeah. I mean, they have to say that, don't they? People in positions of, of authority or the players themselves.
Well, they are right.
Yeah.
They are actually right.
Because it's not about one game. United have won one game before. You think of the FA Cup final, or you think of memorable occasions, even in this barren spell. That
statement 4-0 win against Everton last December.
Yeah. Could this be the actual statement win? Let's see.
Is this the end of the storm? Wasn't that the question that was put to Amorim?
He was asked that yesterday, and he said, I don't know, which is fair, again,
Cheers,
honest. It was good, actually. Again, it was sort of a little bit spiky, but I quite like that in terms of us, sort of asking him questions about, what can this mean? And him sort of saying, well, you continue your narrative, because he was asked about the Champions League and could that be an aim for the end of this season? He's like, no, the fans have been incredible with me, given that I'm supposed to be sacked by Christmas and all that. And maybe that's the point to mention. Obviously, his name hasn't been sung on a couple of occasions, notably Grimsby and Brentford, and understandably so. But it was pretty loud at the end of the game, after the full-time whistle. The players are all down the tunnel, and for a good 5 minutes, United fans are singing the Amorim song. So that, I think, shows that, with a little bit of, I know it's a big result, but, they are eager to kind of get back on board. I think certainly it's been a bumpy ride to this point, but that there is that hope there that this can still work. And as you say, though, the game against Brighton is a big test. They had a good result, didn't they, against Newcastle? Danny Welbeck scoring another couple of beautiful finishes. So, yeah, he's done the business at Old Trafford, hasn't he, before in Brighton colours?
Sorry.
So at least I'm just, providing some realism, as Senne Lammens asked me for, or said that he was doing at Anfield. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's just got to, and maybe that's where this squad comes into its own. If you do have that opportunity to rotate and shift and present the opposition with different issues to try and contain.
Yeah, the Brighton game as well, Andy, because of the fixture changes now, it's actually United's last weekend home game at Old Trafford in the Premier League this side of Christmas. So it's a big occasion in that sense as well.
Yeah, I'm going to frame that in a more negative way. There's one home game in 50 days, which is partly on Manchester United failing to qualify for Europe and going out against Grimsby. But then we have the fixture disruption, and it is a disruption. And you're not going to see many people kicking off about it because a lot of people have got a vested interest, the clubs who sign up for the TV contracts especially. And Sir Alex Ferguson, who said in 2011, when you do the deals, and clubs are very well remunerated with the broadcasting deals, and you shake hands with the devil. I won't call him the devil, but I could see where he's coming from. The point is, switching games to Monday inconveniences a lot of people, and it's not just a one-off either. If you look at Manchester United's games which are coming up, you've got Everton is on a Monday night. Bournemouth at home has been switched to a Monday night. Wolves away has been switched to a Monday night. And I don't think it's on. I realise that most Manchester United fans don't go to Manchester United matches, but I've been travelling like you have last week and met lots of fans who have got tickets for games that they can no longer attend. And it's nothing new complaining about fixtures being shifted. I get that television is actually very important, and that the money it brings some of the best players in the world to the Premier League, and I think fans are appreciative of that. But I also don't think you can not say anything, because it just worries me. I'm not a big fan of Monday Night Football. You lads might be, that's fine, but my opinion is it's I've often chided against Bournemouth, but how are Bournemouth fans supposed to get back from Old Trafford on a Monday night in December? It completely alters the dynamic of probably not having any time off work because the game's played at a weekend, to absolutely needing time off work to get up to Old Trafford. And I don't think that's a good thing either.
No, a lot of fans got in touch with us about that point and about having to cancel trips and so on. So I'm sure they'll appreciate you pointing that out, Andy. One thing to finish on, if we can, Carl, was the best view of Anfield yesterday seeing Sir Alex Ferguson sharing his buttons excitedly with Kenny Dalglish?
That was sweet, wasn't it? That was really, really nice. What a great Monday this is. Manchester United have won back-to-back games. They've beaten Liverpool. There is a crisis club in the Premier League that plays in red, and it's not mine.
That's the place to leave it. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Andy and Laurie, as well, for being with us on Talk the Devils. Thank you, everyone, for your company too. All I can say, enjoy your week. All the best. See you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching this episode of Talk the Devils. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you've not done already. Like the video and also get involved in the comments too. And click the bell to make sure that you never miss an episode with myself, Andy Mitten, Carl Anker and Laurie Whitwell. There's also our social channels at TOT Devils on Instagram, X and TikTok. Thanks for watching.